Ladies and gentlemen, big hairy news.
Hey, kia ora koutou whānau. Welcome back to another episode of Big Hairy News. Kia ora, Magenta.
Kia ora.
How you doing, man?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Had a pretty good week. Productive.
What's going on in Funky Town?
Oh, I mean, I've just been getting some life admin sorted, you know, getting paperwork from my GP for our good old wins to keep them off my back. But hey, I can get a GP appointment, so I'm feeling pretty lucky that I don't have to wait very long. So
Very cool. There
Not
we
gonna
all are.
complain.
All of us. All of us are
Aw.
together. We're all here.
How's your first week been back as a married man?
Hey.
Hey.
No, it's been good. It's been busy. I'm really tired. It's like coming off holiday and having to do a real job. Gosh, it's tiring. Don't want to do that too often. No, it's been good though. Lots going on. Busy, and yeah, just kind of reframing life and what we're all about and what it's going to be from here on forward. Lots of extra work trying to figure out and stuff when we got with the merch and the printers and that sort of thing. That's all work that I'm going to get sorted over the weekend. So hopefully next week we'll have the merch store up and running again. And it's been good. It's been good. It's been busy. And I've had a great week. I think the shows this week have been really interesting. If I do say so myself, they've been really good.
It's been great.
Let's just say as well, a huge thanks to all our patrons. So lovely that you guys are with us and on board. If you are interested in being a part of what we do, patreon.com/Big Hairy News is how you can do it. You can see there are a couple of ideas, but we talked to the patrons about things we're doing. So the patrons got a couple of ideas about potential t-shirts, potential merch to come out. Here's a question for you, Magenta. Fuck around and find out, or fuck around, find out?
I'm kind of partial to an and, but I'm wondering if maybe we go for the text and, maybe not an ampersand. I don't know if I like the ampersand.
Tell me this as well. There are some people in this chat, and rightfully so, who went, what is this? How is this perceived by Māori? It's a kind of play on words. How is it perceived? And what I haven't done yet, I should do. Let me just do this. What people may not be aware of is that actually when you go into the protests this year, that's what you'll see.
Yeah.
So in other words, it feels like Māori have already.
Yeah, we've been on that for a while. For sure.
But what do you think about that sort of question, at least? Like, are we cool with this? Are we cool that this is this is not. This is using a pun well. It's not actually minimising te reo in any way. How do you feel about that?
No, if anything, I just like that we're actually going to be incorporating te reo onto something, like the more that you got language landscapes, the more you see a language around your landscape, the better. And also, I love puns, so I'm all for it.
Gold. Sorry, it wasn't what you said. I'm a little bit tired tonight, and when I get a little bit tired, I tend to get a little bit silly, and I'll try not to be.
Kooky. It's fine.
Right, let's talk about merch. So far, some of you will know this story already because I've put it out on socials already. But last night after the show, so when the show finishes, I stay in the studio. Last night was really late because we had I chatted with Clint for about half an hour afterwards, and then I had 7 clips. So I made 7 clips from last night's show. So which means 7 thumbnails. And I wanted to do one for Nikki No Boats. So what I did was I rather than me going to find, because I'm not very good at ordering things in my computer, like keeping them available and knowing where they are. Yeah. So what I just thought I'd do is I'll just Google Nikki No Boats and go and find one of my old pictures that'll be online, and that'll be easy. So that's what I did. And surprise, surprise, Fano, this is the results that came back when I Googled Nikki No Boats. Now, if you're listening to the audio podcast, you'll have to go look at the start of the show. But I don't know if there's any other people out there with a keen eye, but you might notice the picture here, with the Nikki No Boats t-shirt is not from us.
No.
You might notice that all of these pictures with Nikki No Boats on them aren't from us. Look, there's a coffee
got our
mug
mugs.
with Nikki No Boats on it. And I discovered at about 11:30 last night that we are being ripped off and we are having our stuff stolen. And my initial reaction was, oh my God, that's hilarious. What do they think they're going to do with it? But of course, then I do start to wonder a bit about these places. T-Works, USA, selling Nikki No Boats tops. And I'm like, okay. Look, they're selling them for I'm assuming that's American dollars, $23. So what happens if someone goes here and they buy some Nikki No Boats product and it A, either doesn't turn up, B, it turns up and it's lesser quality, or C, it's a complete scam and it's like a way to get people's credit card numbers, and then they come back to us. So I'm like, what do we do about this? So I'm equal parts kind of think, isn't that hilarious? They won't do anything of it. And, oh shit, what are we going to do about this? So I thought, let's see how good these guys and girls are who have done this with what they're doing. So what I'd like to do for you now is read some of the descriptions on the numerous sites who I think, if you have a look at the color charts, are all coming from the same place. So this one is called ttshirt.com, and this is how they describe Nikki No Boats. Named after the legendary boat skipper Nicky Hilton, the hashtag BHN Nikki No Boats t-shirt embodies the effortless elegance and carefree spirit of the Hamptons. The shirt origins can be traced back to 1997, when it was first worn by Nicky and his friends as a playful nod to their love of water. They have a backstory.
What the hell?
A whole backstory. I'll go on.
Ooh.
Here's another one. The origins of the Nikki No Boats shirt are shrouded in mystery. According to its quirky appeal, some speculate it stems from a misunderstanding or a playful jab among friends, while others suggest it's a reference to a beloved fictional character or a humorous anecdote that has been lost to time. Regardless of its enigmatic origins, the shirt's unique expression has resonated with a broad audience. That would be, and this is the reason I think it's all the same, because see these colors here and the selection, they all look pretty much the same on each website.
Yeah.
So let's have a look at another one. Here's another one. And this is the definition. This is their write-up for who is and what is Nikki No Boats. Whether you're a fan of Nikki, the beloved character from the popular TV series, or simply appreciate a good laugh, the Nikki No Boats shirt is a must-have addition to your wardrobe. It's a perfect way to express your personality. Well, I kind of agree with some of this, and make a statement. I agree with that as well. And while also staying comfortable, cool and comfortable all summer long. It goes on. And then we get, is this the best one? Oh, there's the best one's coming up last. Here's another definition. This is tshirtnewusa.com. And as you can see, look, see?
Yeah.
All the same thing. Mm-hmm. So it's coming from the same probably Chinese-based company.
Yeah.
Here's another one. This is the definition on this site as to why you'd buy a Nikki No Boats t-shirt. The Nikki No Boats 2024 t-shirts have emerged as the essential item for supporters of the political candidate. What? Political candidate? Just the political candidate. Nikki No Boats, known for her unconventional approach and unwavering determination, has captured the imagination of voters across the nation. The t-shirts serve as a symbol of unity and a collective aspiration for the upcoming election.
Oh,
we'll do the last one. Okay,
yeah.
This is the best one, right? See again, same things. This is called Chapa Tree or something. Okay, they've done the best. This is what it is.
All right.
The official BHN Nikki No Boats t-shirt is more than just a piece of clothing. It's a symbol of determination, resilience, and the indomitable spirit that refuses to give up. Inspired by the incredible life story of BHN Nikki, right? This shirt embodies the power of perseverance and the transformative impact of a single idea. BHN Nikki, known affectionately as Boat Guy, rose to prominence when he was photographed collecting trash from a Baltimore harbor in a kayak. Frustrated by the lack of resources available to clean up his city's waterways, he embarked on a bold mission to row a boat full of trash across the Atlantic Ocean. Despite facing countless challenges and setbacks, including a capsized boat and severe weather conditions, Nikki's unwavering resolve never wavered. And that's the story behind this t-shirt. I don't know why they keep saying he, mind you, fair enough, call yourself he, but looks, I mean, this is not the Nikki, it's Nicola Willis, that's the model after it. But now, we're not quite finished, Whānau, because I kind of find that mostly pretty hilarious, but then I think about what could if someone tried to engage with them. But then it was today, actually, I was going, what happens if I Google Chewie Fufu?
Oh no. Oh no. What did they say about Chewie?
I haven't gone that far.
Oh, we'll have to, maybe we'll do that tomorrow on Friday's show. We'll have a deep look into them.
And then I thought, what if I Google buffer tino rangatiratanga?
Oh no. Oh, yuck.
What if I Google BHN Pat and Chewie?
Oh no.
Yeah. It lost a bit of its comedy there.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I don't know if you sold one t-shirt, if that's enough for these bots, these AI tools, these whatevers to find you and copy you. But let me just say this. If you know, and the shirts are coming back, right? You guys know the story about the printer. If you know anyone that wants one of any of our merch, just please tell them to go to the bhnshop.nz, just the official store. Don't get them from anywhere else. I'm not forcing you to get one. Even if they're cheaper, look, call me and tell me you're going to go buy one for $23 and we'll help you out. But don't go to those places, because I'm concerned that then those places are going to give you an inferior product and that'll reflect back on us. And when I saw that they've ripped off everything we've done, I'm like, okay, the comedy's just dropped out of this a little bit. And yeah, at first, and I mean, I saw Magenta, I saw you message like right on my post on Blue Sky. Was it like, you know, do we find this a compliment? Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. And it's like, pretty funny write-ups, but actually all of our content has been taken and sold by other people online. So I've already sent off a letter. People are saying, lawyer up. Yeah, we don't really have the budget to lawyer up. Mind you, there's that Patreon thing that Magenta's just put up. We don't really have the money to lawyer up, but I've sent a letter off to one of the things saying, here is my provenance. Here is the first time we showed it. We own this. Take it down. And we'll see what happens. We'll update you next week.
Yeah.
Update you next week. Anywho, yeah, there was a bit of fun at 11:30 last night when I was like, what the heck?
I did have a big laugh when I saw that, because I was like, while it is obviously not great, and people obviously will just need to make sure that people are aware to not buy from a site that looks like that to begin with.
Yeah,
I think
it's
that's just more internet safety. But also, yeah, it is flattering to see that we're getting big enough to be ripped off. So
yeah. So listen, send people to bhnshop.nz. Don't worry about it through this weekend, because we're still not up and running properly, because I'm going to work on the printer this weekend. When I say work on, I mean put it all back together, because it's been fixed and it's working properly now. But yeah, I almost thought I might order one and just see what it was like. But then I thought actually it could just also be a complete scam to gather credit card numbers. So just if it's not bhnshop.nz, or if it's not somewhere that we've told you about, like if a retailer wanted to sell our stuff, we'd tell you. But if it's not bhnshop.nz, just stay away. Stay away.
And I mean, actually, Citizen Gold points out here a really good point, is that if we start watermarking anything that goes on our website, then, you know, we'll be able to counteract some of them. But yeah.
Yep. Someone said that in one of the replies to my might have been on Blue Sky.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Also, I mean, if you buy from those t-shirts, they smell gross because I've seen a lot of people, buy their knockoffs, and it's always just stuff that smells like chemicals and is just horrible and just turns to crap after, a few days, really.
All right. We're going to get into the show now. I thought we'd just share that with you, though, far now. But before we do that, Kiwi Bird, Pat Mighty love puns. Don't worry. Kiwi Bird, Nikki No Scams. Raja, Nikki No Shirts. And Peter Syme, Chat GPT is weird. EV East. Oh, kia ora, EV. Haven't seen you for a while. Late fee from JC. Tane says that's got Atlas US fingerprints all over it. Well, I do wonder something. I mean, I think that we're not on the radar of Atlas, although I have to tell you, we are on the radar of someone. I was regularly getting between 150 and 300 new followers on Twitter every single month I was growing. I have not had a new follower since about November. Like my followers have just stopped. And part of that will be because people are leaving, but part of that will be I actually believe that I'm somewhat being suppressed by the algorithm somehow. So I don't think Atlas is doing us, but I think that there are perhaps some things ongoing to reduce the delivery of our product in some areas. I believe that is the case. Peter says, imagine Willis traveling to the US and she sees someone in a t-shirt. That would almost be worth it. Another one from Pat, Chat GPT. I see what you did there. Thanks for the super chat. And Bubba said, yes, he did. I'm assuming that's what we were doing. I don't know. That might be wrong, but I'm assuming that's what it was. Okay, team. Should we get into some stories? I think we should. We've got a story here that, to be fair, I thought would be bigger news than it's turned out to be, because it's talking a bit about the Treaty Principles Bill and the submissions that have been made to it. I do have some footage here of Sir Geoffrey Palmer. This is an interesting one, though. Hekia Parata, who was under John Key, was in the national government, was a Conservative minister, and we're finding this time and time and time. Christopher Luxon, all these people who are national stalwarts coming out going, what the fuck are you doing? So here's Hekia Parata and some others. Former National Minister Hekia Parata said the Treaty Principles Bill is, quote, unreliable and unnecessary. That's pretty damning. Recommending the Justice Select Committee report the irrevotably flawed bill back to the House and waste no further resources nor our nation's tolerance. That is a pretty condemning statement from a former National Party minister. Parata and former Labour Prime Minister Sir Geoffrey Palmer, I'm going to show you some of that as well, were among those making submissions on Thursday as the Justice Select Committee resumed hearings on the bill. The committee is due to hear 80 hours in total of submissions on the controversial bill over the course of a month. Parata said the principle of equality was well known to New Zealanders. My issue is not that we need new principles. We need those that we already have to be practiced and to be practiced fairly and justly across New Zealand. Parata argued that there had been a persistent conflation of the collective rights held by iwi, hapu and tangata whenua, which are practiced and related only to their specific rohi region and the individual citizenship rights Māori have as New Zealanders, which they are free to exercise anywhere they choose to make their home in this country. It goes on. We won't read any more of it, though. I'm going to show you some Geoffrey Palmer footage firstly, but Magenta, any thoughts around this? Because the sense I'm getting is that pretty much all of the, and this is going to sound patronising, but all of the people with knowledge, all of the educated people in this world, all of the people who have been there, done that, all of the people who have worked in this sector, all of the people who are experts in this area are all going no at the submissions. That's the vibe I'm getting.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, like you pointed out, the fact that people from like ex-national ministers are coming out and saying, what the hell are you doing? People who have made questionable decisions in the past are like, this is not the time, pull back. It's, you've got to be doing a bad job when it's that bad, and then making people go, wow, I can't believe I agree with her. I didn't think I'd see the day when that would happen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm surprised too, because not only did she get it right, but just the actual details that she goes into, I think, are quite important key details to really kind of hone in on, is that it's about making sure that they're actually practiced and honored, not just written down on pieces of paper and ticked off, so-called done.
It does also seem to be a fairly common occurrence that when National Party ministers leave politics, all of a sudden they find their hidden social justice warrior. they find a heart which they didn't seem to have when. Although in fairness, Christopher Luxon did some amazing things with treaty settlements under a John Key government. Give baby his bottle. John Key got the Māori Party on board and said, you guys help us do this, give baby his bottle. But still, they're coming from that. It's like people don't say Trump is anything new. They say he's a symptom of the path. And actually where the right is right now is a symptom of the path that did come through John Key, even if it's, how they say, this is not your father's National Party anymore, even if it's not that. So, like we always talk about old mate, whose name just jumped out of my head, former police minister who was behind the gang patch law, Chester Burrows, gang patch law under National, coming out as a man who was dying, telling Luxon that the gang patch laws are just a good headline, but they never work. Yeah. Why didn't he say that when he was in government? I don't know. Why did he find a conscience after? Maybe it was to do with the stage of life he was in. I don't know. But this doesn't seem to be uncommon. You see it in America as well, with all those former Republicans now speaking out against Trump, but the ones who are in there won't do it. It's a sad indictment of how people play the tribal game while they're in politics, and then they turn their brains on, or at least they turn their mouths on. They become honest when they leave politics, which is a shame. But I thought I'd show a little bit of Jeffrey Palmer, because I've already seen Frosty give us a comment, and we'll put Frosty's comment up first. It says, Sir Jeffrey Palmer has written a brilliant 2-part article series on Newsroom. He's bloody brilliant. Thank you for the super chat, sir. So why don't we just have a little bit, it's only 3.5 minutes, maybe we'll play it all. Jeffrey Palmer's select committee submission, his oral submission.
Greetings to members of the committee. It's lovely to be here in front of a big committee.
Sorry, just before we go on, Sir Jeffrey Palmer as well, a lawyer, a professor of law, someone who understands law, and I would probably put his experience and expertise up against David Seymour, for a month of Sundays. Because this is, we're not just listening to a lawyer speak now, but we're listening to a lawyer who is now a law professor speak. So, someone who knows the law.
I want to carry on the stress that Karen just put on paragraph 7 of the written submission. I'll just read it. Whether constitutional reform is required and how that should incorporate taturity is a long-standing, complex and contentious issue in this country. A constructive and good faith national conversation is appropriate in light of the history. This should be approached with utmost care and respect. Those issues warrant a thorough and considered processes involving public education, engagement, and consultation. Process is everything. I want to stress, looking forward, the importance of the committee considering the fact that process is everything, because I wish to argue in front of you that the process that led to this bill's introduction was fundamentally flawed compared with the processes that are used for legislation customarily in this House.
You just feel like you're behind the 8 ball if you're supporting the other side. You're just listening to him speak. You feel like, oh gosh, this is not a person that I particularly want to debate. Yoicks. All right, we'll keep going.
Cabinet manual in paragraph 7.65 says that ministers must confirm that bills comply with certain legal principles or obligations when submitting bids for bills to be included in the legislative program. In particular, ministers must draw attention to any aspects of a bill that have implications for or may be affected by the principles of the Treaty of Waitangi. Now, think about that. The reason that is there is that the treaty is binding on New Zealand, not once, but twice. It's binding as a matter of international law. It's binding because it was made for New Zealand, and it's binding because we are the successors to the British powers that they used to have, which we now have. So if this were breached, there would be international difficulties with Indigenous rights in a liberal democracy like this. And one ought not to undergo that sort of risk. So orthodox policy processes before the introduction of a bill like this would require, in normal circumstances, in-depth analysis that would precede the taking of decisions. The policy options would be analysed. There would be interdepartmental consultation and discussions, and Maori would be consulted. Now, instead, what we've seen is a bill that has clogged up the House with more than 300,000 submissions, it is said, wasted a tremendous amount of time and money, and has damaged the collective fabric of the nation. That is what happens, I urge members of Parliament to consider, if proper legislative processes are not adopted. You don't have a policy process that starts with a bill. A policy process ends with the introduction of a bill. And that is the basic flaw which this ill-considered bill has suffered from, and it ought to be cured in the future. We really need to learn from this. This is the final thing I want to say to you.
There you go. So there's Sir Geoffrey Palmer, and I like how he talks about the process. And one of the things that Jack Tame pointed out to us in one of his interviews with old mate Seymour was, in contract law, if we think about the treaty as a contract, if you're an interested party, it's not right for you to make the rules of how the negotiation goes. And the Crown is an interested party in this. And what would normally happen is the two interested parties, let's say the Crown and Iwi, they would have a third party come in to negotiate between them, and that's already been done in the courts. The courts would be the third party, and that's already happened. And actually it's basically like you negotiating, let's say, with your boss on your contract, and your boss just explaining that this is what's going to happen and you've got no say in it. Like that's not how negotiation works.
That's not a negotiation.
No.
Well, yeah, and I mean, that's it. I mean, honestly, like, I did like 200 level politics paper, and even I know well enough that this is not how it works. This is not, you can't fundamentally change something that is built into the rest of our laws.
Yeah.
Because Te Tiriti is the basis for everything. By changing Te Tiriti, you are going to affect almost every law that we have. And that's a big decision to make, especially from a party that did not get the majority vote. Yep.
And if we go back to this idea, there's going to be some pushback straight away going, they're not changing Te Tiriti, they're just changing the principles around it. What they're basically saying is they're changing the way you read it. Now, if I explain to you, Magenta, that the words hot and cold, we're going to change their meaning of. We're going to change how you read them. So now hot means cold and cold means hot. And I say to you, oh, that element is cold. You might think, oh, well, that's fine because I can touch it. But we've changed how you use those words, which means you actually get burned. So actually changing how you read the words does actually change the document itself, whether technically or not. That's actually what they're doing.
Exactly.
Yes, I think there is one. Oh, Gareth just says, T-shirt idea, Pat. One ought not to. One ought not to.
It was very threatening the way he said that, and I loved it.
Let's have a look at the next story. Let's roll straight into it. Now, we've talked a lot about David Seymour this week. He's been in the news lots. A lot of people are saying he's in the news on purpose because he wants to take focus away from other former presidents of his party. News
Timothy
that might be around. So Chippy was on. We've got a couple of videos to go with this. Couple with Chippy, and then we're going to show you an item off One News talking about school lunches. That's one of the things that he's been in the news about this week. Let's have a look at Chippy this morning on breakfast. Chippy is on breakfast, and in this first conversation, he is asked by the reporter, Chippy, why are you going around saying that that Luxon should sack Seymour? Why are you stirring the pot? Why are you saying this, Mr. Hipkins?
I want to ask you about why you said that the Prime Minister should sack his soon-to-be deputy, Mr. Seymour.
Well, David Seymour should live up to the standards that he sets for everybody else, as should Chris.
Thank you, Chippy. The standards he set for everybody else and the standards he set for himself. This is our yardstick on BHM. We will hold this government accountable to the standard they insisted on the last government and the standard they set for themselves, like building a better Dunedin hospital. Those were their standards. That were their words. So we're going to hold them to those words. So, Chippy, continue.
Christopher Luxon. David Seymour's very harsh on other people who make mistakes. He's had 3 in a row now. That's 3 strikes. So basically he was caught out for referring somebody who was a victim of sexual abuse by the ACT Party president. He referred them to a lawyer supplied by the ACT Party rather than victim support or the police. Or
That's actually the worst thing, isn't it? I mean, of the stupid, silly mistakes, political bullshit, actually sending and I guess you'd have to say in that instance, a potential victim, because there's an accusation, but sending them to an ACT lawyer rather than a police, that's disgusting. Unforgivable. Like, that's unforgivable.
The ACT Party rather than victim support or the police or actually taking appropriate action there. He then intervened in a murder investigation that the police were undertaking, basically advocating for the potential suspect in the murder investigation, saying that he was being treated unfairly. And then, of course, despite being told multiple times that he wasn't allowed to drive a Land Rover up the front steps of Parliament, went and did it anyway, then criticised the security guard who stopped him and basically made fun of the Parliament's rules, effectively making fun of the Speaker of the House at the same time. So, I think David Seymour's out of control here, and the Prime Minister doesn't seem to be willing to do anything about it.
On the letter that David Seymour wrote, he wasn't a minister at the time. He hadn't broken any rules at that time, and it was 4 months before.
Oh, please. Could you imagine if Chloe wrote that letter for one of her constituents today, what National would be saying about it at the next election? Oh please, let's not play this game. It's like the defence that, I was just writing a letter of support for a constituent. Okay, so if it was a cannibal, if it was, what's his name, Charles Manson? Yeah, Charles Manson. Would you be so quick? And why won't you confirm or deny, Mr. Seymour, if Polkinghorne made any contributions to the ACT Party? He's refused to confirm or deny. That's what I'd like to know.
Absolutely.
Anything, Magenta?
Well, and that's the thing is, like, we've already seen this happen before. I mean, even just in celebrities, you had Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis get called out because they had written a letter of support for Reece Masterson during some, similar allegations. So if we can hold celebrities to that standard, I think maybe the people who run our country, should probably be held to similar standards.
And in that story, Ashton Kutcher then came out with and mea culpa, like. Yeah, it was a strange thing to do, supporting the potential, still before any conviction, but the potential offender in that way. But then once they saw he was, because they might have thought he was done no wrong. Yeah,
they were friends. Anyway.
But then they also did the next best thing, which is come out and apologised. So that's the bit we're missing from Mr. Seymour. I probably shouldn't have done it. I'm sorry if I caused any offence. Like the arrogance of the man refusing to do that. All right,
absolutely.
We'll keep going.
Mr. Polkinghorne was accused of murder, though.
It was well aware, like the media had already been covering the fact that he was one of the major suspects in the murder investigation. That was in the media already, so I don't think you could say that it wasn't public information or that he couldn't have been and shouldn't have been aware of that. I think members of Parliament advocating for constituents is one thing. Inserting yourself in the middle of a murder investigation, particularly when you're a party leader and a senior MP, is entirely another thing. The fact that he wasn't a minister at the time is a technicality. David Seymour shouldn't have done it. It was wrong. It was unethical. It was an abuse of his position, his privilege as a member of Parliament.
It is kind of bizarre when you hear someone say, because he's accurate, inserting himself into the middle of a murder trial. That's actually what he did. Those words are unreal.
Yeah. I mean, especially when you put all of those pieces together, enabled the protection of a predator, interfering with murder investigations. Like, that sounds like something you watch on some TV shows.
The other thing is, I don't have it with us. I mean, maybe you could grab it up while I'm talking if you find it, Magenta. Actually, the words that he did write, it wasn't just I'm writing this on behalf of my constituent. It was quite specific about how he was being treated badly, and you know what I mean. I mean, I nearly said something completely horrific there, but it's almost lucky for Luxon he didn't get convicted, because if he had been convicted and all he'd been doing, it would be even worse. But then again, would it make much difference? He was talking about treating him like a criminal and sitting in a police car and quite specific things, which also implies that he had contact with either Mr. Polkinghorne or someone who knew the situation. So there's the kind of support he wrote about was interpersonal. He knew of the details of what was happening. This wasn't a general support thing for someone in your electorate. I'm their MP. Let me know if I can help. I want to stand beside my... It wasn't that. It was like some quite specific things that he pointed out.
Yeah, I think
meaning
I've
he had
got some.
quite a lot of knowledge about it. Yeah, tell us, what were they?
I think so. I got one of the letters here. It said the letter started with Mr. Polkinghorne has had a harrowing and traumatic experience, but feels he has been treated like a suspect rather than a traumatized member of the public.
I think he was a suspect at the time, so...
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, he's very much trying to spin that some victim complex, that, they're picking on this poor guy.
Well, he's innocent until proven guilty, but he was a suspect.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, apparently there is an article that's got the full text, but it's hidden behind a paywall because...
Perfect. Oh, that's what we need to do to get lawyers. Hide everything behind paywalls. Okay, point taken.
You know what? I mean, you're not wrong.
Let's go into the next part of this story. This is still on breakfast this morning. So he was asked, why is the call for you to tell him, for Luxon to kick him out? And the next call is, well, what should he do? What should Luxon do?
All right, so with that being said, and with this last week and the headlines that have been out there, what does Christopher Luxon need to do? I mean, he's not going to sack him, is he?
Of course not.
Well, no, I mean, Christopher Luxon clearly...
Because he's weak. And he knows if he sacks him, he may lose the strings of power.
He has no standards. I mean, he thinks it's okay for Shane Jones and Winston Peters and Todd McClay to basically be making anti-immigrant remarks about Mexicans. That's okay with him. It's okay for David Seymour to do all of this stuff. It's okay for Shane Jones to say that charities should lose their funding if they criticise the government. It seems anything goes in Chris.
I saw, and I haven't bought it for tonight's show, but I saw a headline pass across my phone this evening, a charity that deals with dying teenagers about to close down because of not being funded by the government.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Landlords, tax breaks, Philip Morris, dying teenagers. Sorry, my dudes and dudettes, you're not as important.
For Luxon's government, he doesn't really have any standards for ministerial behaviour.
He does have to walk that tightrope, though, of managing a coalition.
Well, coalition still requires you to follow the rules of Parliament, to follow the rules of the executive. The Cabinet Manual sets out very clearly what isn't acceptable ministerial conduct. Christopher Luxon seems to just have put that on a shelf and forgotten all about it. As Prime Minister, you're the Prime Minister of the whole government. That includes your coalition partners as well.
I think we're both doing the same thing. We're both looking up for the story I just mentioned. But yeah, I mean, he's not going to do it. He can't do it.
Nah.
He did it at the time that they negotiated the agreement for government. He sold everything then. He did absolutely everything to find power. And he knows that if he upsets the apple cart, if he upsets Seymour, then that could be the end of this government, which could be the end of Mr. Luxon. So Seymour can do whatever he wants, Magenta.
Which is just absolutely fucked. Yeah. And I don't understand how we're in a position where he's just, and I mean, I'm assuming it's because, the Atlas connections, the money talks, he has all the power, he's holding all those strings. So of course he's going to get away with it. But it's just, insane that someone who did not get enough majority vote to be the leading party is just running circles around him, and it's only getting worse. And it feels like the mask has been slipping, especially faster since Trump took office, because I've noticed the things they're saying, the things they're doing are just getting bolder and bolder with almost every day that, he's been in.
Yeah, it's shocking to see what's happening now. Elon Musk and his 19-year-old minions are breaking into Treasury, getting the information out of Treasury, getting people's social security information without permission, locking other, MPs, senators, governors, other employees of the government out, and them doing it. It is actually the definition of a slow-moving coup. It is actually the definition of it. It's an oligarch, not elected, taking control of some of the parts of government that you need for government to function. It's terrifying from there. And the good thing is, and maybe I should do it next, the good thing is they had a press conference today with his son in the room, and I've seen some video. You always got to be careful when you do lip reading. But that the little kid seemed to say to Trump, "You're not the fucking president," as a part of it. And there's another point, and I've got the video here where the little kid seems to be shushing President Trump, and you just wonder if that is what he's saying. What is Musk saying in the kitchen?
Oh yeah,
when there's no one around. But we won't get to that yet, because we do want to finish off the Seymour bit, because school lunches is obviously part of this whole debacle this week. And this is and look, you know what? I went to boarding school. I loved a pie for lunch. Don't get me wrong, but this is not the standard that this government set for fixing school lunches. They talked about sandwiches and fruit, and they show pictures of yogurt, and it's not working. So basically the company hired to do it is just pushing out pies tomorrow to make sure people get fed. That's where we've got to in this debacle. And of course, Seymour can't say it's a debacle. Seymour can't pull away from it, because then he's got egg on his face. Mind you, the egg will look like brown, shitty egg that you don't know what it is, much like the food each day. You won't be able to identify the egg on his face, but that's what it will be. God, please let it only be egg and nothing else. We're gonna leave that right there, and we're gonna play this story.
Meat pies are on the menu for high school students across the country tomorrow as part of the Healthy School Lunch program. The supplier says the one-off pie meal doesn't meet nutritional guidelines, but the move will help it get on top of ongoing production.
And we can't lose the lead here, Fano. No one cares about a kid having a pie one day for a lunch. So this is not what it's about. What it's about is the system that this government set up failing so bad, they have to do something like this just to make it through one more day. And it's about this government promising one thing and delivering another. So the pies are not the lead, right? Don't bury the lead. The lead is the system not working that we were promised. Costing more, delivering less.
Production and supply issues. Here's senior political reporter Benedict Collins.
We were told the new Healthy School Lunch program would go down a treat.
Yep,
That's one of the
that
best
was the
meals
day.
that you're going to have.
David Seymour vowed to deliver cheap and nutritious food to kids across the country. 3 weeks in, how's it going?
A shambles.
Think late deliveries, terrible communication, and mass confusion over whether halal meals are actually halal.
It's been a nightmare.
Good grief. Good grief. And you know what's going to happen? People are going to jump. There is a sector of society that are going to jump up and down and go, who cares about halal? But that same sector of society, I almost guarantee you, if you said to them, what if the kosher meals weren't, they'd be up in arms about that. But they don't care about halal. It's not the point either. Remember, don't bury the lead. It's not about the halal meals. It's not about the kosher meals. It's not about the one day with a pie. It's about this government failing at what they promised to do. It's about this government saying they'd do it better for cheaper, and they're doing it far, far worse, to a point where some kids aren't being fed at all. Don't bury the lead. It's important with this one.
Yeah, and it has taken a lot of time to get our lunches out to our students, which in the past was a seamless transaction.
And tomorrow, around 100,000 school kids are getting pies. Today, the company in charge, Compass Group, told schools that while the pies would not meet nutritional guidelines, it'd be a one-off, while the company tries to get on top of the food production and supply issues it's been having.
I know that our students will love the...
This is your typical, this government has put something in place, They've employed a group of people who are probably the people who said this will be as cheap as we can do it. And they've put a thing in place before the systems are set up. This is exactly what they did with the ferries. They cancelled the ferries before they knew what was going to happen next. They've put this company, Compass, in charge of these foods, and this Compass company has not got the practices or processes in place to be able to deliver what they've promised. So this is what's happening. It's, again, over-promising and under-delivering. National 2026. That's their byline. I think that should be their byline. That's under-delivering since 2023. National 2026. You know, it's like, this is it. Don't bury the... I'm saying this all over again because this is the truth. Don't bury the lead. It's not about the pie. It's not about that. It's about what they said they would do better, not doing it. How they said they would improve it, not improving it. That's the story. I'm talking lots, Magenta. Do you want to say anything else before I push play?
Well, actually, one thing that I'm also thinking is that we've also got to remember that not only are we messing with their lunches at the moment, but we've just changed the structured math and literacy as well. So all of the curriculum's changing, teachers are having to deal with that. They're also now having to deal with these lunches being an issue. So these kids are getting affected in multiple different areas already. And I'm sure these teachers are probably feeling a lot of stress with all these changes that, like you said, have not been rolled out well at all.
Yep. Okay, we'll play some more of the story.
The pies, but it's not really the message that we want to be sending our community.
Our politicians and pies go hand in hand.
Minister, do you enjoy a pie? I have gone from 120 kgs to 110, and sadly I had a pie for lunch.
I had half a pie last night for dinner.
Minister, do you enjoy a pie? I do. Can't you tell? Of course.
But should they be part of the healthy school lunch program?
I grew up eating pies and I feel quite healthy.
People eat things all the time that don't necessarily eat nutritional value.
So this is them running cover now. It's like, what a fucking moron. I also grew up in a room filled with smoke while my parents, look at me, I'm fine. It's like, it's not how it works, dumbass.
It's me and a bunch of other MPs are case in point of that. But, you know, a little bit of bad food every now and then is not the world's worst thing. You've got to enjoy life as well.
I actually have no...
And that's him trying to make the story about eating a pie. Don't bury the lead. It's not about the pie. It's about their practices and processes falling apart. It's about them not delivering. Don't bury the lead. It's not about the pie, which is what they were both just trying to do. They were trying to make it about the pie.
Problem with a kid having a pie for lunch?
Pie for Kai.
The opposition, though, find it harder to swallow.
Well, it's showing contempt for young people who really deserve to have a free and healthy lunch at school.
This just shows that Christopher Luxon and David Seymour are putting short-term profit gains at the expense of the well-being of our children.
You think there might be a lot of happy kids, though?
The thing is, we need a variety of options for our kids.
The new school lunch program continues to be hit with...
I just want to go back because it's important that we remember what they were promised, right? What we're looking at here is the standard they set for themselves, right? That's that we're looking at the standard. We've all done this. We've all seen this. School lunches NZ, right? That's it. Look, that's the standard they set. You know, that's what they're delivering.
Yep.
You know, it's just, this is the thing. That's what they're delivering. That's the standard they set. That's what they're delivering. That's what they're delivering. That's the standard they set. That's their standard. We hold them accountable to the standard they set.
Program continues to be hit with teething issues. Benedict Collins, One News.
All right. Go for it, Magenta. Have at it. I've talked too much during this clip.
I mean, like you say, it is annoying. I feel like I've been noticing this a lot recently, that it feels like a lot of the news recently seems to be kind of focusing on the wrong parts. And I don't know if it's on purpose, if it's because they don't want to piss off the coalition and not get access to them. But it just, because there was like a news clip we looked at on Friday where they said in some other wording that just felt a little, how would you say, forgiving towards the current government. And I think I'm just getting really sick of seeing that because, like you say, it's not about the pie. Like, yes, it would be great if we didn't have that. But at the same time, when he's like, oh, don't you think the kids will be happy? Like, yeah, they'll probably be happy because the pie and the pita are probably going to turn up on time. So they'll actually get to eat it for lunch. They'll just be happy, you know? I think there's a lot of issues around that. And I'm sick of seeing their smug faces and like talking about, oh, I had a pie for lunch and it was fine. Like, yeah, also your pie probably cost 50 cents.
2 shekels.
And was actually good quality
Threepence.
And you didn't have to worry about it being, filled out with crap. So like, shut up.
Yeah. And I know I've said this about 13 times, but we won't bury the lead. I said it right from the start, pie for lunch, who cares? Fine. Once, fine. I just spent 2 weeks away, on 2 of the days. I had an ice cream. Once in a while, fine, it's away, not a big deal. That's not the story. The story is not the pie. And I'm glad to hear Chippy not focusing on the pie, focusing more on the substance of what's not going on. So it's very, very good. Well done. All right, let's have a look at some of the super chats. Thanks, team. Noah with a late fee. Appreciate the super chat. Also, JC and the Pigeon Cats, $2. Thank you. Some might still suspect he was actually guilty. That's about Polkinghorne. They don't find you innocent. They find you not guilty. And I don't have any commentary on whether he is or isn't because that would be defamation and we're not going to go there. But people are found not guilty for a reason. Basically, it means not enough evidence to provide a guilty verdict. So therefore, they're not guilty and they walk free. And that's the law. JC and the Pigeon Hats, $5. Thank you for the super chat. His letter was a grab bag of victimization narrative, just posted it in Discord. Oh, there you go. So there's the letter from Seymour about Polkinghorne. Howie says, so right, Magenta. The narrative is flowing right from the US right. Extremists and the behavior here is a mimic. Oh my gosh, this is a beautiful tie-in to a story we'll do next. There is a story in exploring the examples. Road Tang, Tino Pai, Seymour, you mug. Oakley, my partner is a 3rd year student in primary teaching. The stress she had learning a brand new curriculum, I can only imagine teachers already in a job. And yeah, remember, it's not just teachers in a job. It's, I guess, there's been a new curriculum sort of since the 90s. So even if you're like been teaching since the 70s or 80s, you've had to do it once before, but that's still probably the past 30-ish years you've been using one. So even for people who've been doing it for 30 years, let alone someone who's never done it, it's going to be tough, isn't it? Tiffany says, healthy lunches, health, social welfare, aged care, infrastructure. Is there nothing these feckless fuggers, well, I like that fuggers, that's a good way of doing it, won't defund? Plain useless by neglect. Plain useless or plain useless with maybe a D that jumped in there by mistake.
That's going to get clipped.
We're going to have a look at a story now. Now, there's a part of this which a lot of you may not be interested in. I am a political tragic. I love to consume international political news. I love to consume international media news. There's a couple of podcasts in America. One of them's Tim Pool, one of them's Dave Rubin. And recently they got caught up in it. When I say innocently, they were not aware that money that was being funded to them through a third party was coming from Russia. They didn't question getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to do the same show they were doing. So what had happened is this money from Russia had found some people speaking the right narratives in America, and they wanted to support those narratives, so they just flooded them with money. Tim Pool was one of the guys caught up in it. Do you remember the name Milo Yiannopoulos, Magenta?
Yes, unfortunately I do.
Well, Milo Yiannopoulos, who's been kind of kicked out of the alt-right because he's gay, because that's how they roll.
Yeah.
And he's trying to make a bit of a resurgence now as a born-again Christian. He was on Tim Pool, and he has shown, and this is the connection that I was saying, he has shown behind the curtain how the right grow so fast in independent news and why they're dominating it. And this is an American story, but I just want people to think about when I play the second clip, maybe a group over here that got a big investment of money at the start that's helped them grow. The same group that's still not yet profitable, is still losing money, but they're being supported along by by big lump sums of money. So let's go. This is what Milo Yiannopoulos looks like now. That's the look he's going with. And the first part I'm just playing for you, if you guys do know Tim Pool, or Pim Tool, as CJ Dunn saying, is that Milo Yiannopoulos obviously didn't know that Tim Pool was caught up in this thing, because he basically goes on a rant against those people taking Russian money in front of Tim Pool when Tim Pool was one of the people taking Russian money. I just wanted to play this to give you context, but it's the second part I want to show you about how Milo reveals how the right and independent media grow so quickly.
Sure. There very well may be that was coming. There very well may be individuals who their ad person comes to them and says, "This."
By the way, I'm playing this off the Majority Report thanks to Sam and Emma, because this episode of Tim Pool's been taken down. Oh. So you can't find it, because apparently Milo did something awful, which is his MO. But these guys have got it. So we're watching along with Sam and Emma.
NGO wants to spend $100,000 in ads on your show, and they say
you're doing that conservative thing of giving too much credit.
No, I'm saying in general, big picture.
No, they know exactly where the money's coming from. Dave Rubin knew where the money was coming from when it was coming from Russia. He used it to buy his children.
That is 100% false.
So remember, Tim Pool got that same money from Russia. Milo doesn't know this yet.
To buy his children.
That is 100% false, and you know that ropes me into it, and I can verify it's 100% false.
All right.
Completely untrue. It is so, and this is important big picture stuff, because USAID is funneling money into NGOs.
It's irresponsible.
The claim here is that USAID is funding money to NGOs, and then NGOs are funding money through to left-wing media sources. That's the accusation. It's complete horseshit. But that's it. If they are, hi guys, give us a call.
Where's the money?
Yeah, thanks very much.
In the extreme, to the point of ludicrous negligence, to not know where hundreds of thousands of dollars are coming from.
So there you go. Ludicrous, not knowing where hundreds of thousands of dollars are coming from. Now they go on in this conversation, and Milo was a pretty huge name in the alt-right, far-right in America for a long time, because he was their token gay, right, basically. And then, of course, he started talking about, his relationship with black men, and it got all a bit too much for them, and then they had to move him along and move him out. But this bit is fascinating, because he says, and he brings up the names Candace Owens and Ben, whatever his name is, and how they've grown so quickly. And just have a think about some of those right-wing independent media sources in New Zealand. See if you can hear a similar path.
It is no secret that a lot of bad money has gone to people on the right and on the center right, but it's typically the case that right-wing people will go and get investors rather than do advertisers, fake it till they make it, and then they'll get sort of the big ticket advertisers. So the way Ben Shapiro, the way Candace get famous is they get Wilkes Brothers, or they get some other kind of billionaire money, and they buy
Right Family Foundation.
Engagement. They buy followers, and they sort of propel themselves to the top of the heap, and then fake it till they make it, and then eventually it's kind of sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Everybody does that.
Everybody does not do that.
Well, we've never done anything like
everybody does not do that.
So did you get what Tim Pool said? Tim Pool wanted to brush it aside by saying everybody does that. And then he realizes what he just said. And he goes, but we never did that. We never did that. Have a listen again. It's kind of hilarious.
To the top of the heap, and then fake it till they make it, and then eventually it's kind of sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Everybody does that.
Everybody does not do that.
Well, we've never done anything like that.
Everybody does not do that.
Pause it for a second.
Sam, I'm going to give a little bit of commentary from Sam. This is weird because we're a commentary show watching other people comment, but I'll play this 30 seconds of what Sam says as well.
Interesting turn. Tim says, and we've been saying this about Ben Shapiro for a long time. They bought millions of dollars of Facebook ads several years ago, and it propelled them. Yep. And then Tim says, everybody does that. And then says, but I didn't do it. Everybody does that. And then realizes, like, whoa, wait, no, I didn't.
So Milo Yiannopoulos was on the inside of the alt-right, of the right in America, in the independent world. He has just told us the formula. The right will have, I don't know, let's call it a platform. And they'll go and get money first from in America, a billionaire, in New Zealand, 100 millionaire. And then they start to grow their audience. They use that money to survive for 2, 3, 4, 5 years while they grow their audience. And then they basically become what they've been projecting since day one. And that's how the right does it. And what the left do is they start a more grassroots, I know some people don't like that word because it's been sort of taken by others, a more grassroots movement. They bumble along for a couple of years. If they find a community, they start to grow. And the reason the right dominates the independent media source. Now, when I say dominates, there's David Packman and there's, I mean, the TYT is not really left progressive anymore, but, there are people over there with multiple million followers and stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
But the right in general have more and are bigger and certainly is where the money is. And that's what they do. They take the money first. They use that to survive off. They're able to hit the ground running with immediate full-time everything. And then they grow. And then they grow, and then they become what they're projecting. And I just thought it's a fascinating conversation from Milo to be revealing that, as stupid as he is to do so, Magenta.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, we've got a few comments in the chat, kind of maybe picking up on some, some just people that maybe is resonating with them. And I mean, that's what it is that like this right-wing grift, that is what it is. They go for hatred. They go for shock factor. They also, I mean, when it comes to the right wing, like there's been studies that have been done that also shows that like there is like personality traits that are correlated with right wing authoritarianism. So, they often play into those facets and just, keep people in their echo chambers. Like you say, they take over the media. For every probably like one lefty media, you've probably got hundreds of them, to be honest, because they're kind of like the website that you showed us at the beginning, ripping us off. They're just a bunch of crap, and they just kind of see if they can make anything until they can kind of build themselves up. And then we've got people like Alex Jones who still exist with a platform.
Bill makes an interesting point as well, not just in the media source, media area. The right flood a lobby group with money. I've told this story before. The ladies from, sorry, they just make me throw up every time I think about them. Voices for Fuckwits. Is that the name of the Voices for Fuckwits? They went around New Zealand having meetings with potential sponsors, and they held meetings. It was actually quite a clever idea. Maybe we'll mirror it one day. Meetings with like someone, they'd go to a region. And I know this because I know people who were there. They go to a region. They go to a wealthy person's home, the wealthy person puts on a meal, and then they set up on the front and they do a presentation. Reality Check Radio, they raised $5 million doing that.
Yeah. And that's insane. And I mean, the thing is, if you're doing that, you're basically, it's like movie pitching. You're just basically going and trying to sell a script or like a book concept and then working from there. Also, with someone pointing out the TPU and all those things, just want to point out all the Atlas Network, and like the New Zealand Initiative, all of those. We know that the New Zealand Initiative has $12.7 trillion of invested interest in New Zealand. So, I
just love it
that one in there.
When they say the quiet part out loud. Now, you saw Sam, and you guys know we're connected to Sam a little bit here. You saw him kind of laughing. Everyone knows it, but when someone says it, it's that like, see, we've been telling you. This is why it feels so, so off, because this is often where the money is. It's not entirely true. I mean, there's lots of lefties. I noticed someone that said, "Don't sell out, Pat. Don't panic. We're not selling out." That was tongue in cheek when I said send it our way. But to be honest with you, if someone wanted to do this tomorrow, what we're doing, but had a uber conservative right wing view and had this not these little randos around the internet at the moment in New Zealand, but actually had sort of the pedigree to put something on, probably wouldn't take them very long to get a good chunk of change from some international group, and then to go and just hit the ground like they've got 100,000 followers when they don't, but they can pitch that out there. Then what they do is I think Milo even used these words, they can fake it till they make it, and then the money helps them to make it. So that's how it works.
And I mean, the algorithm helps them because the algorithm it is fed way more by hatred and negativity. So they can do that. They can start these shitty white men podcasts where they're saying crazy shit. It goes off on TikTok, YouTube, whatever, and then they actually do get people in.
All right, let's have another little look at another interesting story. I talked a bit about this already. Of course, there was a debacle of a press conference in the Oval Office in the last kind of 48 hours. But some of the news that's coming out at the moment is, his name is X, I think, the child, it's almost child abuse.
Oh, Ash. Yeah, no, his name is pronounced Ash.
Everyone called it X.
Yeah.
And he allegedly told Donald Trump, you need to go away. Let's have a look.
I'll ask Elon Musk to say a few words, and we'll take some questions. Elon, go ahead.
Sure. So at a high level, if you say, what is the goal of Doge, and I think a significant part of the presidency is to restore democracy. This may seem like, well,
it's very, very soft. We'll listen to it again. Try your best.
Is to restore democracy.
And that's why I said, you got to be careful when you do lip reading, because there might have been some other words in there. And then there's another question. Did Elon's son just tell Trump to shush? Let's roll this back and have a go. Here we go.
The average American. I mean, imagine they're going down the grocery aisle and the prices from one year to the next are the same.
And there's another clip out there that I don't have to hand where he allegedly said, you're not the fucking president. So it's pretty funny. But I mean, again, let's not bury the lead. What a debacle of a press conference. But anyway, bit of fun. I've got another couple of little stories, not really anything too sensible, but I think we might need a palate cleanser. I think this has been done by the Labour Party team. Have you seen this today?
Oh no, I haven't been on today. So what have they? Oh, I love these.
Here we go. Ready, people?
Cutting while I listen to Nickelback. I just cut this. I gave New Zealanders big tax cuts. More like a big fat kick of the nuts we've done. Away. What if you pay? You probably don't have a job now anyway. You were probably made redundant by this rubbish one-term government. If you still have a job, you can't work from home because I made Wellington a nuclear zone. More cuts than a lumberjack. School lunches are now just a little snack. Cutting while I listen to Nickelback. Your rent goes up every single day. So the first time around, I decided to slave. You can't afford to buy a new pad. You have to move in with your pensioner dad.
Oh,
liked it?
Wow. So, honestly, I'm obsessed with the social media team that run that. They often actually get featured on the Friday show because they make such good memes.
There was a poll I saw today, and it said, it might have been on Stuff, which social media team is more cringy? National, Labour. And National was about 3-1, 75% to 25%, give or take. Of course. But if the question had been which was more effective at the last election, the answer is also National.
To be fair, I think the social media team must have changed because the social media team that's on there now is not the social media team I saw in the election. So maybe they hired some new people.
There was a television advert that Fair Go used to run television, the Advert of the Year award.
Oh, I loved those.
And there was one year where the Advert of the Year was also the most hated. And it was an advert for, I think it was NZI, it was an insurance company, where I think a parrot, like a cockatoo, and a cat were running around the house knocking things off and, And the thing about it, that when people were questioned, I got it wrong. The most hated was the Mrs. March. Oh, it does get in when she puts a bit of chalk, like talking about Colgate toothpaste, puts a bit of chalk into purple ink, brings it out and cracks it. Oh, it does get in. That was the most hated. And the parrot one for NZI was the favourite. But what they did was they said, what's that advert for? And they said Colgate gum. And they went, what was that advert for? And they didn't know.
Yeah.
So in other words, the most hated advert was more effective as an advert. The one people liked the best was not as effective in advertising the product. I think that's a bit like what you'd say about the last election. I mean, like I've still got that. I go into like night sweats when I think about Christopher Luxon with his tongue out in that shot.
Yeah.
It's gross.
Yeah.
But they were more effective at the election, and it helped them win. I would rather be more cringy, more effective in a win than cooler and slicker for a loss myself.
I mean, that is true. That is true. And I mean, like, it goes along with that thing they say of like, you know, you get one bad review and like one bad experience and you're going to tell 10 people. You have one good experience and you might tell a couple of people. Like those things stick in our brain, unfortunately. But
there used to be a from research and radio, there used to be I think it might have been on TV as well, but for every complaint you got, that was worth 7. That's how they recorded it. And so what you're saying is right. I mean, it's if you receive a complaint, you think there's at least 7 other people who are fearing the way. So I've just put Luxon tongue into my search engine to see if I can find that photo. Because
are you sure
really,
you want to put that
really
into your
hated
Google search bar?
Yeah. People don't want to see my search bar. This kind of stuff that comes across my feed is horrific. I can't see it. So I'm not going to be able to give people nightmares tonight.
That's good. I'm sure they won't mind not being scarred by that man tonight. They'll probably get scarred by him tomorrow on Friday. I jump scare people with them all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We have
all
fun.
right. I've got another story I want to play, actually.
Cool.
And this story is really... I think we've finished the news for the day. It's really the news because I'm gonna play a bit of a lighthearted story at the end. It's not really a lighthearted story. I know we all know that reality TV is not really reality, but I've got an example from Australia which is the worst example of not reality TV I've ever seen in my life, and it was featured on ABC's Media Watch, and I want to show it. Is there anything else in the news that we want to cover off before we get there, though?
Nah, nothing that I'm not going to cover tomorrow. We can deal with that later.
There we go. Oh, the dog's lost its nose.
Oh.
Hey. Oh, you're right. I'm just checking. Have a look at this. Even for those of us, and that's everyone who knows that reality TV is not real. You know, back in the day when there was this big revelation that on that Survivor program that they remade the swimming races. And when you stop and think about it and you see those shots from above in Survivor for the swimming races, and then you see the shots from in the water, and when you go back to the shots from above, you realize there's no cameras in the water.
Yeah.
They're actually redoing the swims for the shot. The competition might be accurate, you know, how they're doing it, but reality TV is not reality. This is the worst example I've ever heard. It's only 2.5 minutes, but I want to share it with you.
Now, over to Channel 9 for some summer viewing.
Our beachfront dreamers want crashing waves and salty sea air.
I kind of like these programs on HGTV, you know, your beach house for less, international home hunters, that kind of stuff. If they're on in the background, I'll watch them while I'm having lunch or something.
So grab your sunscreen and join us on the hunt for the ultimate beach house.
Find My Beach House is quintessential commercial TV.
It's not a euphemism, by the word. Find My Beach House. I don't know what they'd be looking for, but it's not a euphemism.
With host Shelley Craft guiding cashed-up couples on the hunt for the perfect beachside getaway, like Lockie and Tonya, who are scouring Victoria's spectacular Mornington Peninsula.
We should have a competition. I'll stop this part way through and I'll see if people can guess what the reveal is going to be. Right? I'll see if you can guess.
With $4 to $5 million in their purse.
Just 4 to
So
5
this is
million.
kind of the perfect time to head down to the coast and stay there.
And there's, beautiful golf courses and wineries.
So can Shelley help them find their dream home?
This house sets the bar really high. When we walked into the house, it was stunning. Like, you're not going to see a duplicate of this.
Spectacular. And house number 2?
It's not giving me... Obviously, you went straight to the top at house 1. So now I'm like, very picky.
Totally agree, Lockie. House number 2, rubbish. But might they fall in love with house number 3?
I love that whole like kitchen, dining, living.
I feel like I'm on a holiday.
Yeah.
So, don't keep us hanging.
Yeah.
Have you made a decision?
Oh, we've lost a lot of sleep over this.
For us right now, house number 3 feels like it is the one.
Lockie and Tonya have successfully bought the house and are now savouring every moment of their new beach life.
Okay. People, in the chat, we're probably 30 seconds behind, so you'll have to be quick. If you've seen it, don't spoil it. What is the non-reality here? What do you reckon, Magenta? If you don't know, if you haven't seen it.
I haven't. I'm going to assume that it's just already their house. That they're not buying a house. It's just their house.
People in the chat, they're all robots. I don't think that's... don't
let it be AI.
It's a dog house. Did they rob a bank?
They're not a couple? I like that one.
It's going too fast now.
That one's funny.
There is no house.
It's their parents' house?
I will let it play for you, okay? Some of you have got it right, but not quite. Right? Because yes, it's already their house, but not just that.
Successfully bought the house and are now savouring every moment of their new beach life.
Praise be success. They got the very house they wanted, which we've discovered was no fluke because, are you sitting down? It was their home all along.
Not just their home. Not just their home.
No, I'm not joking. Tonya and Lockie had bought the land 8 years ago and put up the house themselves.
Not just their home, they built it.
Fuck.
So all of the decisions inside there for the furniture and they decided. So yes, you were right. I'll give you half credits, Whānau. Not just their house, the house that they bought the land for, designed and built. So now they're going to show some more footage again of them going back into the kitchen. Now remember that they made those design choices when they built that house.
Documenting their every step
they documented
on Instagram. Here's Tonya posting the house designs back in 2022. And here they are, choosing just the right stone for their new kitchen benchtop. Now, let's watch as our happy couple visit their own kitchen, apparently for the first time.
Wow.
That is a serious stone. Okay.
It's something else, isn't it?
Oh, wow.
That'll do us. I mean, there's reality TV and there's just fraud. I mean, honestly, there's just fraud as well. Yeah. So...
I mean, I don't know if you know much about reality TV, but actually in America, there's actually serial actors who go on multiple different reality shows. Like, it's its own industry at this point.
I hope everyone's learned something tonight. I hope I've spoiled your favourite reality TV show forevermore. Tiffany says, interesting to watch American hegemony wane and Europe face its colonial past with migrants. The backroom deals look desperate. Time for class struggle, says Tiffany. Well, Millennium Beige, that's the colour of the stone.
It was very millennial beige, that house.
I actually think, and I cut it off, I think the next part of the story, they say they currently have their house on the market.
Oh, so there was an advert.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then they found another one just around the corner that was their dream house to find, which they also built, and it's currently being rented out as $4,000 a week as an Airbnb. And part of the advert talks about the House Hunter or whatever it's called show thing. So it's just it feels like fraud when there's money involved. Like, you know, I've worked in TV. I know lots of people who work in TV. Sometimes when you're doing a news story and you got to get a comment from someone, you get someone you know rather than going out and finding. But they'll still be a person you'd hope that were in that industry or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's also not people you pay. So, but when it ends up being that was already their house that they built, and then they actually were selling it, that's going to add a premium to that house because people can say, yeah, I got that house that was on the TV. There's a premium. I don't know, what is it, 1%, 5%? But there's a premium on it. If you could say the house seen in here and you're Airbnb-ing it, there's a premium on it. That feels uglier, really ugly.
Absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to get their house on Grand Designs as well. You know, do the build on Grand Designs and then go to that one to sell it.
I think we're about done for the night. Is there anything else you want to throw out there? I mean, you guys, your Friday night show, you have all sorts of things going on. Is there anything you want to take control of and go with? And
what do we got for actually tomorrow? I've had a few things that I've been looking at because obviously, for those who aren't aware, I will be joined by Detective Rogers tomorrow. So that'll be fun. We'll get to hang out with him. Don't know. We might look at some Atlas stuff, but I'll try not to make it always Atlas focused when we're with him. I don't know if you've seen though the Auckland City Rail link.
ran through for the first time today.
Ran test today. Yeah,
Yep.
that was interesting to see. We also got actually there was one article that I think someone wanted you to see. And apparently they might want you to see if Craig Rennie could come and talk about economists discussing superannuation.
Oh, yeah.
So I think there's something that maybe you could maybe see if old Craig might be able to speak a bit too, because there is a bit of conversations around that at the moment. And I mean, with the government trying to blame anyone who's getting governmental support for their financial hardship at the moment. It's kind of interesting that they're kind of talking about this at the moment as well. So be good to see what Craig thinks about.
I'm just on Discord at the moment to see if we can find that letter that was posted.
Yes.
But
maybe Kiwi. Does Kiwi Skirt know where? If Kiwi Skirt's got it, maybe. Oh no, here it is. I found it. I will download it and open it. It's a file.
Okay.
It's a TXT file. Okay.
Oh no, here it is. Yeah. I write on behalf of a constituent, Philip Polkinghorne, whose wife died just over 1 year ago. I'm sure you will aware. Oh, then it cuts out. Yeah, so you need to have it downloaded.
So in short, Mr. Polkinghorne has had a harrowing and traumatic experience, which is the one we heard from the news thing. Philip has, over the past year, had the following experiences at the hands of police. On the day he discovered his wife dead, Mr. Polkinghorne immediately rang 111 and received assistance from the police. A number of officers arrived. He gave a statement. They treated him with respect and sympathy. And then it's just going through things of his day. Bear in mind, he had not showered nor had anything that morning to drink or eat and was in a very distressed state. He was directed to a police vehicle and was escorted to the back seat. He was left alone for 15 minutes to discover he was trapped in the vehicle because of the locking mechanism. Jesus.
Yeah. So that's quite specific.
Winky.
That's what I was saying. That's quite specific. So he has knowledge of that. So he either had contact with Polkinghorne or with someone who had contact with Polkinghorne. It's quite an intimate detail.
It goes into details about a psychologist as well. Yeah. Like he's saying here, psychologists have contacted medical councils. Yeah, that's way too detailed for someone who just
a general constituent.
Someone. Yeah. And let's be honest, if the constituent wasn't maybe of this complexion that he was or gender that he was, let's be real, David wouldn't have cared. He wouldn't have intervened.
Well, he lives in Epsom, so that's going to be most of the complexion and gender. But anyway. All right, team. Thank you. How was your first night with me? Not too scary? It was all right?
No, you don't bite, so I wasn't too worried.
No,
she'll be right. And everyone's having a good time in the chat. It's good to see them. They'll get 2 days in a row of me though.
Oh my gosh, is that going to work? Is that okay?
Oh, I'm more worried about them than me. I'm good to go. Hey, I'm giving my Valentine's Day to the people, so we're gonna spend Valentine's Day together, guys. So I'm sure it'll be fun.
I'm gonna make sure I don't reveal too much here.
Yes.
Not trying to sound dodgy, but I'm in a folder with some photos right now.
Yeah, that definitely made it sound better. I'll read a super chat if you want while you're getting that ready.
Go on then.
It's in the ballot for $5. Louise Wallace became a reality TV star on the Desperate Housewives of Auckland. Oh my, that's right. I forgot about her.
Forgot about who?
Louise Wallace. Fuck. Got me.
So this is just what I was going to put up. So this was us in your neck of the woods.
Oh, yeah. You didn't tell me how the food was.
You want to hear a funny story?
Oh, yeah.
See how there was 2 of us and we had 4 cocktails. We went to this bar. What's this lagoon called again?
Whairepo Lagoon.
Yeah. So we were in Wellington, and it was kind of our last night of the honeymoon. We were going to be in Christchurch, but we were supposed to be with friends, so it's kind of our last night alone. So we went out and we thought we'd go out, and we were debating which one of these cocktails we'd have.
Mm.
And we were there just in the last couple of minutes of happy hour, and it was buy one cocktail, get the same one for 2. And we were debating between the 2, and we decided on this one here, which I can't remember what it was. And then when they walked out, and then we ordered as well. It was like $140 all up, which, to be honest, for that flash restaurant, didn't feel it was a bit expensive, but didn't feel terrible. Yeah. And then they walked out and they had these 4 things, and I was like, "Oh, what? We only ordered 2," and he was like, "Oh no, because you get 2 of the same one." And we're like, "Yeah, that's right. We just ordered 2." And he's like, "No, you get 2 of the same one. So you ordered this and you ordered this, so you get 2 of them." We're like, "Oh no, there's been a mistake." So we paid $60 for 4 cocktails when we wanted 2.
Oops.
But then what they did was they refunded us the price of 2 because we didn't order 2 and we didn't finish 4 cocktails, but we finished 3 and gave one of them away, and they were delicious. They were only topped by the actual, oh gosh, that's not right. The actual meal, which is now going to be nowhere to be seen. Of course it's not, because there it is there. The actual meal, which looked a bit like that.
Oof. That looks mean.
Steak and egg with kumara fries and a salad on the side, and of course a Coke Zero or something else. And there's those cocktails, and that was a really lovely spot. And the view was lovely, and yeah, it was all good.
It's a beautiful spot there.
I can't remember the name of this of the place.
Karaka Cafe.
Yeah, that's what it was.
It's
Maori
Cafe. Yeah, Maori Pacifica owned and operated. So if you want hangi, you can get hangi.
Yep. So we ate there. It was awesome. They were really nice, and then all of a sudden, of course, the meal was 110. And actually, for kind of 3 meals, 2 cocktails and a drink, that doesn't feel quite as much because they charged us 60 for drinks. And then we got some of it back. Yeah. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that because we're in Wellington and there were you. We actually thought you might go, "Oh, I'll come down and have one of those free cocktails." But yeah, all good.
I thought if you wanted me to see you, then you'd ask. So I wasn't going to invite myself to your honeymoon. That's rude.
Everyone else did. All right. So you're back tomorrow night. We'll talk at the end of this little bit of music.
Settle a debate, whether it be thoughtful or funny, even if we're all creatures of hate. It's a fine line that we're walking together. For better, push aside the temptation to berate. Let's take a note of the corners we stand in. As many points as the hairs on my chinny chin chin. When the news that we're watching is hairy, knowing all the things that we need to be wary of. Like the rich have the hand out for rewards, while the many have to work out what they can afford. And the rest of us ain't paying attention, or maybe have questions we're too worried to mention. Other media is still dwelling on trivial facts, vetting peas from the rice and the mice from the rats, and picking and choosing a warpath to run, and linking ourselves with the hill to die on. It's gotta come down to a welcoming vibe, with an A and a self and a higher in mind. All heavily either this way or that, and we'll be analyzed by both Chewie and Pat. With the evil in the world trying to mess with your head, and you're sitting on the couch, you're thinking chivalry's dead. Each night, 2 nights, they're gonna sing you to bed. It's Big Hairy News.
All right, guys. I will catch you Monday night from 9 p.m. for another edition of Big Hairy News. And Magenta, do you want to remind people what's happening tomorrow night?
So tomorrow, Bright Hairy News Friday show, it'll be me joined by Detective Rogers. So we'll probably be looking at some news around Wellington City Council. So that'll be fun.
All right, team. We'll catch you for Monday. Have a great weekend. Have fun tomorrow night, Magenta, and we'll see you all super, super soon. Hooroo!
See you guys.